Emma's day had been long and tiring, full of endless meetings and phone calls that seemed to drag on forever. She had been looking forward to coming home, to the quiet and comfort of the little house she shared with Jack. The office had felt like a cage all day, and the thought of slipping into her soft pajamas and resting on the couch kept her going. She didn't expect to come home early, but when her last meeting was canceled, she found herself walking the familiar path toward their house with a little extra time on her hands. The sun was starting to set, casting a warm golden light over the quiet street where Emma and Jack lived. Their neighborhood was peaceful, filled with families and neighbors who knew each other by name. She smiled as she thought of Jack, imagining him reading a book or maybe watching a show in the living room. Her mind drifted to their plans for the weekend, the small trip they had been excited about, the little things they looked forward to after a busy week. As she reached the front door and pulled out her keys, she noticed something unusual. From inside, she could hear voices. Not the calm, steady tone of Jack's voice, but laughter light, carefree, and a little too loud. It wasn't the sound she expected to hear in their home at this hour. Emma paused, a flicker of confusion crossing her mind. Maybe Jack was with a friend, but she couldn't think of anyone he'd invite over without telling her. The laughter sounded familiar, almost like a sound she'd heard before in the neighborhood. She unlocked the door quietly, stepping inside without turning on the lights. The house was dim, the soft glow of the late afternoon filtering through the windows. Her heart began to beat faster, a strange feeling of nervousness washing over her. She moved toward the living room, her footsteps light on the hardwood floor. The voices grew clearer, and so did the laughter. Then she saw them. Jack was sitting on the couch, relaxed and smiling in a way Emma hadn't seen for a long time. Next to him was Claire, the girl next door. Emma had always thought Claire was sweet, friendly, but a little distant. Claire's presence surprised her. But it wasn't just Claire. There was another woman with her, someone Emma didn't recognize. The two women were sitting close, chatting easily and laughing like old friends. The way Jack's arm rested over Claire's shoulder made Emma's stomach twist painfully. Emma's mind raced. Why were they here? Was this just a casual visit or something more? She wanted to turn and leave, to forget she had seen anything. But her feet wouldn't move. She was trapped by the scene before her. By the sudden cold that filled the room, Jack's eyes caught hers and the smile vanished instantly. His face changed in a way Emma had never seen, confused, guilty, afraid. For a moment, the room was silent except for the faint sound of their breathing. Emma's world felt like it shattered quietly, but completely. Everything she thought she knew, every moment she had trusted, now seemed fragile and uncertain. The people she loved were right there, but somehow distant, as if a wall had risen between them without warning. Claire looked away, a shadow of shame crossing her face. The other woman remained quiet, watching Emma with eyes that seemed to hold a mix of regret and something harder to understand. Emma's throat tightened. She wanted answers, but words failed her. Jack stood slowly, his movements careful and slow, like he was trying to fix something that was already broken. He took a step toward Emma, but she didn't move. She needed space, time, something to hold on to. "I didn't want you to find out like this," Jack said, his voice low and unsteady. "It's not what it looks like." Emma stared at him, trying to hold back the tears that burned behind her eyes. "Then what is it?" She whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" Jack looked down, the weight of his silence pressing on both of them. "I was scared. Scared you'd hate me? Scared it would all fall apart." Emma shook her head slowly. Fear and secrets were never supposed to live in their home. She had believed in their life together, in the promises they made. Now those promises felt fragile, slipping through her fingers. Claire shifted uncomfortably, her smile gone. Emma realized this was not just a simple visit or a friendly chat. Something deeper was at play. Something that had been hiding beneath the surface for a long time. Her heart ached with the quiet truth that she had missed signs. Moments that didn't make sense until now. She remembered the times Jack had come home late, distracted, or when his phone buzzed with messages he didn't want to share. She had pushed those feelings aside, telling herself it was nothing. That love was enough. but love wasn't enough. Emma took a step back, her voice trembling but clear. "I need time," she said. "I need to understand." Jack nodded, the pain in his eyes mirroring her own. The room was heavy with silence again, but this time it was different. It wasn't just the sound of heartbreak. It was the sound of a life changing forever. Emma closed the door gently behind her, the laughter still ringing faintly in her ears, and for the first time in a long while, she felt lost. Jack sat on the edge of the couch, staring at his hands as if they held the answers to questions he didn't want to ask. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the city outside their window. Emma stood near the doorway, her arms crossed tightly, trying to hold herself together. The shock of what she had seen still burned fresh in her mind, and the silence between them felt heavy, filled with unspoken fears and confusion. Jack finally looked up, meeting Emma's eyes with a mixture of regret and desperation. "I know this looks bad," he said softly, "but it's not what you think." Emma didn't say anything. She waited, hoping that the words that followed would make sense, would explain the cracks that had suddenly appeared in the foundation of their marriage. But Jack's voice was shaky, unsure. He was struggling to find the right way to explain things he hadn't been brave enough to admit before. "It started a few months ago, Jack began. "After work got so stressful, I started hanging out with Claire because she was easy to talk to. She understands things I couldn't explain to you." His voice broke slightly, and Emma's heart clenched. She had always thought she was the one he leaned on, the one he trusted the most. Jack sighed deeply and looked away. But it wasn't just her. Claire's friend was there sometimes too. "I didn't plan for this to happen. I didn't think it would grow like it did. I was lonely, and I made a mistake." Emma's breath hitched. "Mistake," she repeated, the word feeling cold and distant. "How could you keep this from me? How long were you going to hide it?" Jack's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want to hurt you. I was scared you'd leave, and honestly, I wasn't sure what I wanted. I was confused, Emma." Emma's mind raced. Confused, that word echoed in her head. She thought about the nights Jack came home late, the distance she felt growing between them. She wondered if this had been going on longer than he admitted. The pain was sharp, but she pushed it down, needing to hear everything. Claire, sitting quietly on the couch, finally spoke up. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. "Emma, I never meant to come between you two. I care about Jack, but I never wanted to hurt you." Emma looked at Claire, trying to see the woman who had shared laughter and smiles with Jack, but all she felt was betrayal. "Then why didn't you stop?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Claire's eyes dropped. "Because it wasn't just about us. It was about something missing, something Jack and I both needed." Emma wanted to ask more, but the words stuck in her throat. The house felt colder, the walls closing in. She realized that this moment was the breaking point. The moment where their life would change forever. Jack reached out, but Emma pulled back. She needed space, time to process the flood of emotions crashing over her. She remembered the years they had shared, the promises they had made. Could any of it still be real? "I don't know if I can forgive you," Emma said quietly, "but I don't want to give up without trying." Jack nodded, relief and sadness mixed in his eyes. "I want to make this right. I'll do whatever it takes." Emma didn't know if that was possible, but for the first time she saw a flicker of hope. They had shattered trust, but maybe, with time and honesty, it could be rebuilt. As the evening light faded, the three of them sat in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. The future was uncertain. But one thing was clear. They couldn't pretend this hadn't happened. Emma felt tears finally slipping down her cheeks. Not just from heartbreak, but from the weight of the truth finally spoken. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, full of hard conversations and painful choices, but maybe, just maybe, love was strong enough to survive even this. The days after that night were quiet, too quiet. Emma moved through their home like a ghost, carrying the weight of what she'd discovered in every step. Jack was there, but so was a new distance between them, one neither of them knew how to close. The house they had built together felt strange now, filled with memories that suddenly seemed fragile, as if a single touch could break them. Jack kept to himself, often sitting by the window, staring out but not really seeing anything. He tried to talk to reach Emma, but she wasn't ready. She wasn't sure if she ever would be. The laughter she had heard, the closeness she had seen, it all echoed in her mind. And every time she closed her eyes, she saw it again. Emma wanted to believe Jack when he said it was a mistake. She wanted to believe that love could survive even this. But her heart ached with every doubt. Every question she couldn't voice, Claire and her friend had moved away not long after. Their presence, once so sharp and confusing, faded into a quiet absence. Emma thought that might make things easier. But it only left space to feel the emptiness more clearly. Jack started to change slowly. He stopped hiding, started sharing the small details of his day again. He asked Emma about her thoughts, her feelings, even when it was hard for her to talk. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. He was trying to rebuild something broken, piece by piece. One evening, Emma found him sitting on the porch, a book in his hand but his eyes on the stars. She sat beside him, the cool air wrapping around them. "I don't know if we can go back to how things were," she said softly. Jack nodded. "Me neither. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need to go back. Maybe we can find something new." Emma looked at him, searching his face for the man she had fallen in love with. There he was, in the quiet hope, in the apology, in the promise to try. "I'm scared," she admitted. "But I want to try to—" They talked for hours, not about the past, but about what could be. The dreams they still shared, the plans they could still make. It wasn't easy, and some nights were harder than others. But they learned to be honest again, to face the pain instead of hiding from it, Emma realized. Love wasn't about never breaking, it was about how you picked up the pieces, about choosing to stay even when it was hard, even when everything felt like it was falling apart. Time didn't erase what happened, but it softened the edges. The cracks in their story became part of their history, not the end of it. Slowly, laughter returned to their home, not the careless kind from before, but something deeper. A new kind of joy born from healing and understanding. Emma and Jack found their way back to each other. Not as if nothing had changed, but because they chose to move forward together. And in that choice, they found a quiet kind of love, stronger, more real and full of hope.